All right. So once you have all the stuff that you might need, you can come into a seat and we'll start in a comfortable seat to get ourselves grounded before we start to move into our yin postures. So take your time to settle in, to maybe fidget a little bit, find what feels like center for you. So just checking in, noticing if you find your seat and you notice you're leaning forward, kind of anxious or eager for the future, maybe leaning back, comfort of what has happened in the past or reflection, and take your time to find yourself in the present. And so that space between the place where we take each breath and the moment that is happening now. And so as you find yourself in the present moment, as you find yourself at center, invitation to close your eyes if that feels safe. And maybe focusing in even a little more closely as you breathe in through your nose, becoming aware of sensations in your nostrils, perhaps temperature fluctuation and pace of your breath. And as you exhale, maintaining awareness of any subtle fluctuations or changes. And so continuing to bring your breath in and out through your nose. And cultivating a sense of awareness, a sense of mindfulness and presence. And then as you become present with your physical body, perhaps taking a step out into your witness body. So kind of stepping outside of yourself as if you could be the observer. And noticing if there's any places in your physical body that are able to relax, to soften. And as an observer, allowing yourself to then move to those places. Maybe it's your jaw, your shoulders, your hips, your toes. And from this place, taking a few more breaths as a mindful, conscious observer. Invitation to leave your palms exactly as they are. If you'd like, you can bring your hands into a prayer position at your heart space and setting an intention for your practice. An intention is what separates the practice of yoga from other physical movements, and creating a space of sacredness, a space of ritual even, and a commitment with your body, your breath, and your spirit. And take one more inhale through your nose. Lightly open your mouth and exhale through your mouth. Release your palms back down if they're lifted. Gently open the lids of your eyes. And we'll start off with deer pose. So if you're sitting on anything, you can set that off to the side for the moment. I'm going to set my blocks up as if I'm creating a bolster. So I'm creating at the lowest height both of my blocks. And then I'm going to take my blanket and kind of fold it so it's pretty thick and comfy and place it on top. If you have a pillow, you could set up a pillow here, couch cushions, anything like that. And then a couple options. So first option is to come onto your left side with your knees stacked, one on top of one another. You'll turn towards your structure, whatever it's made out of, and you can start to walk yourself down, either resting your left cheek, or it might, I'm going to rest my left cheek because it's too intense for me on my other side. But if it's not too intense for you, you might rest your right cheek down, and that gives you more rotation in your cervical spine. So take your time to set up, and then you might need to kind of wiggle yourself up or down depending on what's most comfortable. Second option is if you want to take a staggered variation, your front shin will stagger to the side of your mat, your back shin will stagger towards the short end of the back of your mat, and then you'll turn over towards your structure and start to drop yourself down. So really whatever's best on your knees, either stacked knees or maybe more of a staggered variation. And I'm going to keep my forehead down actually so you can hear better, but again, either left or right cheek to your structure. And then start to breathe. And sending your awareness down into your low back, into your hips. And there might be sensation in your neck or in your shoulders. And as we stay here in this shape, checking in, making sure that whatever shape you've chosen is sustainable. There's times when we need to stay and breathe and be in the sensation. And then there's other times when it's appropriate to shift or change or to move. And so finding what is best for you, and then coming back into your breath, perhaps even back into your observer state. And deep inhale through your nose. And exhale. We have about 1 more minute here. And continue to send your breath to areas that might need a little more space. And gently start to move into your final 3 breath cycles. At the base of your 3rd exhalation, if your palms are up, bring your palms back down to the ground first so that you can start the movement from your hands, gently pressing yourself up, very slowly walking your torso up and eventually unraveling. And then you can keep yourself turning. So you'll essentially be facing what might be the back of your mat or the short end of your mat. Keep both of your feet to the floor, palms to the floor. Maybe they face out. Take a moment at neutral, letting your hips and low back find a space that is a little bit more midline. And then you might choose to stay right here, or if it feels appropriate, dropping down from one side to the other, creating a little bit of movement from left to right. Allow your knees to drop down each side one more time if you are taking movement. Allow yourself to come back to center, walk yourself up a little bit higher, and then we'll start to go to the other side. So I'm going to move my structure. So you can leave yours right where it is, and we'll come on to our right sides. So from your right side, again, you might choose to drop down onto the right with both of your knees stacked, one knee on top of each other. I just realized black was not the best thing to wear for this. So but if I'm trying to show knees stacked on top of one another, like you're side lying, and then you can turn to the right so that you're turning towards your structure. And again, start to drop yourself down, either your left cheek to the mat, if you'd like to find that rotation of your cervical spine, right cheek to the mat, if that feels better. And then start to breathe there. Again, if you'd like to take the staggered variation, this time your bottom leg, your right leg, will be more or less parallel to the long edge of your mat, and your top leg or your left leg will be parallel towards the short bottom edge of your mat. And then from there, you can turn towards your structure. And again, you might need to adjust a little bit up or down, and so that your torso can find a resting place to be supported. And as you find yourself in the shape, again, check in, is this sustainable? Are there places that you'd like to breathe in a bit more deeply? Are there places that you might need to adjust and shift? And as we stay in the structure, in our shape, noticing what parts of your body start to maybe wake up and become alive, ask for your attention. And then if you notice those places, send your breath there. Let yourself be in what shows up, be present. And breathe. Take a slow and full breath in through your nose. Maybe you let it go through a sigh. And settle in for your last full minute here. Gently begin to move into your final 3 rounds of breath. And once more, if your palms are up, you can bring your hands down, maybe even slide them back a little bit so they're under your shoulders. And when you're ready, take your time, nice and slow, to press your upper body to an upright position, eventually unraveling yourself. And again, turning around so that the soles of your feet are on the floor. Hands can come to the floor to the left and right, and take this first breath or two in neutral. And then option to stay at neutral, or again, you can take some movement by dropping your knees to left and right. Maybe letting your gaze shift to the opposite side. One more time each side. And then slowly bring your knees back to center. Walk yourself upright. And then if you'd like to take your blanket and refold it, I'm going to sit on mine so that my hips are a little bit elevated, and we'll prepare for dragonfly. So option to sit up onto a blanket, and when you're ready, extend both of your legs long to left and right to any extent, and then find a moment to let your legs get passive. So your feet might splay a little bit. And a couple options. You might take your blocks in front of you. Maybe this is where your forehead will rest. If your hamstrings are feeling a little edgy today, I noticed that was happening with me yesterday. I was taking a class, and so you can place your blocks underneath your legs to keep a little bend into your knees. I find that sometimes that can release tension. So take your time, and eventually when you're ready, we'll start to fold forward. And so take your time to drop in, maybe noticing, I just noticed my blocks need to be a little higher. So if your blocks need to be higher or lower. And so bringing awareness and intention and attention into the parts of your body that now notice the stretch. And so it might be more your hamstrings. This might be more your back. It might be a little combination of both. And then reminding yourself to come into that softened space, that passive space. And breathe. If you'd like to make any adjustments, please feel free to do so. That might mean deepening into your pose. It might be coming out of the shape slightly. And so as we hold these shapes, we're able to let our bigger muscles that we work often in our vinyasa classes and take a rest. And ligaments, fascia, connective tissue. So the more subtle aspects of our anatomy have a little bit more attention and receive a little extra love. And so really tapping into these subtle sides of yourself. And the subtle parts that are no less important, and just perhaps not as often noticed or seen. Wherever you are, allow your body to stay in its shape as you move through 3 more rounds of breath. And very slowly again, bring your palms to the ground if they're not there already. Press down so that eventually you can stack your vertebrae, bringing your torso back to an upright seat. And gently bend into one knee and then the other so that the soles of your feet find the floor. You can let your elbows or your forearms rest onto your knees, just giving your hips a moment, giving your knees a moment to feel flexion after being extended for so long. And then continuing back to a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. Setting your blocks aside. And then we're going to bring it up into the neck and shoulder for our last yin postures today. You can take your left arm and let it drape down by your side. Right arm will reach around behind you, and I'll turn around for this. So your right arm will reach behind you and grab the bottom part or your forearm on the left arm. It might grab higher, but as long as you're not on the elbow joint itself. So I find that the forearm tends to be a nice place to hold. So once you find a connection of your arms, you can slowly let your left ear drop down toward your left shoulder. So creating some space in your right shoulder head, the right side of your neck. And then breathe into sensation that shows up. And for the last minute, you might choose to say just as you are. Or if you want to add a little exploration, starting to draw your chin down. And as you draw your chin down, that might change where you feel this stretch in your neck. You might start to feel it more into kind of the backs of your shoulders. And so you can play around with a little bit of a side rock here, bringing your chin down towards your chest, maybe bringing your ear back towards your shoulder. And so it can, again, be very subtle. And you might not choose to take any exploration and stay exactly as you are. And that's perfect. About 30 more seconds wherever you are. And take one more round of breath. Release the bind of your arms. Gently bring your head back up to center. Take your arms out wide, fingertips to the floor. Lift up through your torso, big breath in. And then let your chin drop down towards your chest. So you're lengthening the back of your neck on left and right sides. And stay here for another breath in. And out. Inhale, lift your head back up to neutral. This time your right arm is going to drape down by your side. Take your left hand, reach around behind you, find your forearm. And if that feels uncomfortable, like if that's not sustainable, you can hold on to your shirt behind you as well. And then once you find that bind or connection to your shirt, let your right ear drop down towards your right shoulder, really bringing some space into your left shoulder head, the left side of your neck. Continuing to find that passive space. And again, if you'd like to stay here, please feel free to stay. If you'd like to take any sort of very slow movement to see what happens to sensation, you might start to drop your chin down a little bit. Maybe you play with bringing it back up. So about a minute, either to hold where you are or to maybe find subtle movement to explore. And take one more deep breath wherever you are. And again, release the bind of your arms. Very slowly bring your head back up to neutral. Inhale. Arms reach out to left and right. And as you exhale, keep your arms extended. Tuck your chin to your chest. Lengthen through the back of your neck. And stay here for another breath in. And a breath out. Inhale, lengthen all the way back up to a tall spine. Release your palms and then transition onto hands and knees. You can set up a blanket underneath you if you'd like for support. And as you find yourself in your foundation, spread out through your fingertips, let your hands connect down. Engage your low abdominals so that there's support in your back. And as you inhale, move forward and back, belly drops down towards the ground, gaze shifts forward slightly. And as you exhale, contract through your navel, press down firmly so you can round your middle and upper back. A couple more times at your pace, full inhale to drop into your cow spine. Full exhale as you round into your cat. Twice more. And last one. Return to a neutral spine. Shift the weight into your left shin. Take your right foot behind you on the floor. Look forward so that you can lengthen from front to back. Put your right foot over to the back left hand corner. So we're going to get back into the side body a bit here. Inhale, look forward. Stay here, or as you exhale, start to look over your left shoulder a little bit. So you can start to bring the awareness back into your right side hip, perhaps low back and ribs. And take another inhale. And exhale. As you inhale, start to bring yourself back to center. Step your right foot back over to the right. Take an inhale here. And then exhale, release your knee back down to the ground. This time you might take a little side to side rock with your hips, maybe some circular motion, a cow and cat. So a breath at your own pace, a breath in your own movement. And come back to neutral. Reestablish your grounding. And when you're ready, shift the weight to your right shin as you take your left foot to the back. Yep. And then inhale, find that length first. Once you've got your length, left foot steps to the back, right hand corner comes back to the floor. Yep. Inhale to lengthen. And as you exhale, start to turn your gaze this time over your right shoulder, looking to the right, maybe looking back towards your left foot. And take an inhale up your whole left side body. And an exhale. One more cycle of breath in. And a breath out. Again, unravel your torso back to the front. Step your foot back to the left-hand side. One breath, full body breath, lengthen from front to back. And as you exhale, release your shin back down to the ground. And again, maybe some rocks here, some circles, another cow and cat. And start to bring yourself back to neutral. Walk both of your hands under your shoulders, but walk your right hand in just a smidge. And when you're ready, step your right foot on the outside line of your right hand. So you can take your time to kind of wiggle that right foot onto the outside line. So both of your hands are on the inside line. Yes. And then press down to your palms, start to look forward. Press your right knee towards your right tricep. So there's a bit of strength and stability happening in your right hip. You might stay here and breathe, or you can tuck your back left toes. Take an inhale. Then as you exhale, option to lift your back leg, send your heel back, send your crown forward. Wherever you are, either knee down or knee up, take one more inhale. And as you exhale, release your knee if it's lifted. Wiggle your right foot out to the side and eventually slide your right leg back in place. Walk your hands back underneath you towards your tabletop. Take a full breath in and out. Walk your hands slightly over to the right. Shift your weight to the right, and then take your time as you wiggle your left foot forward. So left foot will come on the outside line of your left hand. Yep. Press your palms down to the floor or to blocks, And then start to draw that left knee in towards your left tricep. So again, there's some strength and stabilization happening in your hip. Stay here and breathe. Invitation to tuck your right toes. Take an inhale. And maybe on the exhale, you explore lifting your back right leg. Inhale here. Exhale. If your back leg is lifted, release your back leg back down to the floor. Nice. Untuck your toes. Wiggle your left foot out to the side, and then eventually slide it back in space so that you can bring both your knees under your hips, palms underneath your shoulders. And again, some wiggles, some circles, or a cow and cat here. And bring yourself back to neutral. Walk your palms forward. So hands are going to come about as wide as your mat, a little bit forward. Keep your hips nice and high. Start to drop your forehead down towards the floor or the block, Anahatasana, staying into the side body a little bit, but now bringing it back up into your shoulders. Take a big breath into the backs of your shoulders, into your armpits. And so noticing sensation in your upper body. And take one more inhale. And exhale. Press to your palms, look up, start to lift your torso, and then roll all the way forward so that you can come all the way down onto your belly. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders once you arrive. I'm just going to back up a little bit. Press the tops of your feet down. And as you inhale, lift up to your baby cobra, finding your back body strength. And as you exhale, release your forehead down. We'll take that 2 more times in flow. As you inhale, lift up baby cobra. As you exhale, release back down. One more time, inhale to find your length. Exhale to lower. Tuck your toes underneath. Press up towards a tabletop. Adjust your palms as needed. And then when you're ready, keep going, unravel towards a down dog. And first down dog, so pedal, shake, sway, whatever you need here. And take one more inhale. And exhale. Inhale up to your tippy toes. And as you exhale, take a slow lower so that you can engage your abdominals. Eventually come all the way back down onto hands and knees. Shift your weight forward slightly so you're at a bit of an angle, and then engage your core again so you can lower down to your belly once more. As you find yourself onto the floor, go ahead and roll over onto your back. Place a bend into your knees. We're going to bring it back down into the hips. And so take your time to find that new position with a lot of your back on the ground. Start by taking your right leg all the way up to the ceiling. Find your external rotation and then bend into your knees, finding your figure 4. So taking your right ankle towards your left thigh. Yep. And then all the options here. You might stay. Maybe you find a little press away, a bit of a self-assist here. Invitation to draw your left knee in. And then once you find a shape that, again, is sustainable, right? We talk about sustainability a lot in Yin, but making sure that we bring that same quality to our vinyasa practice. And so taking 4 full cycles of breath wherever you are. Gently bring your left foot to the floor if it was lifted. Slide your right knee on top of your left leg. So now you have a crisscross position. Press to your feet, scoot your hips to the right. Extend your arms out wide to a T, palms face up, inhale. And as you exhale, knees can start to drop to the left. Always the option to unravel this spine. So if this spine is not feeling good today, again, if it's not sustainable, feel free to ditch it. I'm going to place a block. There we go. I'm going to place a block underneath my legs so that my legs are a little bit higher this morning. So take your time to settle. And then whatever form of a twist you find, again, 4 full breaths. At the base of your last exhalation, slowly start to bring yourself back up to neutral. Press to your left foot square off through your hips. Inhale, take your right leg all the way up. And exhale, release your right foot to the floor. Moving to the other side, inhale, take your left leg up. Flex into your foot externally, rotate, turn your left toes to the left, and then bend into your knees so you can find ankle to thigh for your figure 4. And then all kinds of options. You might stay here. Maybe there's a self-assist, lightly pressing your leg down. You might stay here, or maybe draw that right knee in. And take your time staying with the bent knee, maybe extending your legs. So it's up to you. Yep. And 4 full rounds. Once you've completed your last round of breaths, slowly bring your leg all the way down if it's lifted. Slide your left knee atop your right knee. So again, you have your crisscross. Option to move your block over to the other side if you're utilizing it. Take your arms to a T. Press to your right foot, scooch your hips to the left a bit. And then when you're ready, take your knees over to the right. Four full rounds of breath. At the base of your 4th exhalation, once more, slowly bring your legs back up to neutral. If you're off kilter, go ahead, press down into your right foot, bring your hips back to neutral. Take a deep breath in as you extend your left heel to the ceiling. And as you breathe out, release your foot back down to the floor. Walk your feet about a footprint forward. Take your knees once more as wide as your mat. And this time we'll take the windshield wiper from our reclined position. So dropping your knees from left to right. Your arms can stay out wide in a T. Perhaps it feels good to reach your arms overhead and hook your thumbs, bringing the awareness back into your shoulders once more. And slowly bring yourself back to neutral. If arms are up and overhead, release the bind of your arms, slide your hands down, and then just bringing a little bit of a core awareness. Start to stack your knees over your hips so your knees are at about a 90-degree bend. Take the palms of your hands onto the tops of your thighs. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine you can draw your belly button to the mat beneath you, and you want to pull your knees in, but your hands are not going to allow your knees to come in. So now a lot of activity is happening in your core. Keep drawing your belly button down. Imagine your tailbone can reach to the bottom of your mat. So you're finding space in your back body as you find strength in your core. Take one more inhale. Maintaining your strength on the exhale. And then release the effort as you draw your knees in towards your chest, taking your knees wide if you'd like, and then taking some circles or some rocks. And then anything you would like for the next 2 minutes, moving into that place or places that might need a little extra attention still. And taking your time to breathe in space, to perhaps build some heat, some fire. And if you're doing asymmetrical work, slowly starting to finish up on one side and taking your time to move to the other side. And then slowing down whatever movement you're doing on the opposite side. And slowly beginning to transition towards a resting shape, a place to integrate. And again, come back into a state of presence and cultivating awareness for where your body and breath are now. And take another deep inhale through your nose. Hold at the very top for just a moment. And then when you're ready, exhale with a big sigh. And as you allow your body to come back into a softened state, giving yourself these next few moments to rest and for all of your body's breath, physical, spirit, to once more come into this space of integration. Very slowly begin to deepen your breath. Reawakening to sensations and sounds around you. And as you feel ready, invitation to invite movement back into your body. And perhaps once more returning to an upright seated position. If you'd like once more to bring your hands together at your heart center, please feel free to do so. And connecting left and right hand sides of yourself towards the center space of your heart. And take one more full inhale. And a big exhale. Thank you for exploring your breath, using your breath as a tool to be present. And in the present moment, allowing yourself to notice, to witness, to observe what comes up. And getting curious, staying with it, exploring it. And then maybe using that as information and data to move forward into the next moment. Namaste.